Daycare services under review as the city looks to cut costs. Some strong opinions on what the future should hold for the Fort William Gardens. And a cracked wheel being looked at as the cause of a fiery train crash. Good evening and thank you for being with us. The number of flu-related deaths in Thunder Bay continues to rise.
According to the district health unit, 3 more deaths have occurred by people confirmed to have the flu, bringing the total to 5, and at least one of those new cases involved the H1N1 virus. Local flu clinics have been very busy since the first 2 deaths were confirmed in December. What makes it more serious is that 4 of the 5 confirmed victims are adults under the age of 65. The district health unit says typically seniors are more at risk, but due to the strain's composition, the elderly are at an advantage with years of immunity buildup. The local manager of an infectious disease says they are also seeing a slight decline in flu cases, but that the statistic could just be attributed to fewer people being tested when they become ill.
Unusual for a regular flu season. Generally, regular flu seasons tend to hit the senior citizens a lot harder, and that's where you typically see more of your deaths. They are still investigating, to find out further details with the last few, but we can say that, yeah, there have been some other medical problems as well, but, generally a lot of that information we're not aware of as yet.
Gowan Locke says that even if you decide to get the flu shot now, that it will take about 2 weeks for your body to build out immunity. In the meantime, she says it is important to practice good hygiene habits like frequent hand washing and sneezing into a tissue or sleeve.
One man is dead following a 2-vehicle collision near Ignace. It happened on Highway 17, about 40 kilometers west of the community, just before 7:30 this morning. According to the OPP, the crash involved 2 passenger vehicles, and the victim was pronounced dead at the scene. He's been identified as 57-year-old Danny Henderson of Atikokan. The driver and a passenger in the second vehicle were taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries.
Declining enrollment and funding reductions are causing major challenges for city-run daycares. The implementation of full-day kindergarten has meant the loss of dozens of kids at the 4 centers operated by the city. More childcare operators and a shift in provincial funding has City Council facing huge budget increases and exploring all options. As Cheryl Holmes reports, that's concerning to unionized workers at the daycares.
Enrollment at the 4 city-operated childcare centers has dropped by more than 70 kids in the past year. The decline is only expected to grow as full-day kindergarten goes citywide this fall. In recent years, the number of licensed daycares has also continued to climb. On top of that, money provided by the province is drying up. That's all adding up to double-digit budget increases.
We're anticipating a 63% increase in 2014, and if the anticipated budget reductions happen beyond 2014, there will be a further 25% after that.
The city isn't alone in dealing with these challenges. In some other cases, municipalities have decided to remove themselves from the system altogether, leaving daycare to the private and nonprofit sectors. It's that option that worries CUPE Local 87 President Marie Dean. The union represents 43 full-time employees at the 4 city-run centers. She opposes the closure of even one of the facilities and feels the city has other options.
They can look at making up that deficit somehow to keep the centers open. There may be other services that the city provides that could somehow, some funding could be diverted from certain projects into perhaps keeping our daycare centers open.
Right now, no options are being proposed in Monday's report to Council to cover the increased costs and reduce revenues. However, administration will recommend shutting down the evening program at Grace Remus by mid-year. Cheryl Holmes, TBT News.
People who would be directly affected by any changes at the Fort William Gardens made their concerns known at a public meeting last night. The city was asking for feedback on future uses of the facility should a proposed event center move ahead. Dennis Ward reports.
Different uses, taking it down, or keeping it the way it is. These were some of the questions posed to those who attended the public meeting on the future of the gardens, and many of them have a direct connection to the facility today. Julia Mullins is the president of the Fort William Figure Skating Club.
Well, we're just concerned about having an ice facility for our membership. So we want to know what's going to happen to the current building and where we're going to go in the event that this building doesn't exist anymore.
Dave Kawahara is the president of the Fort William Curling Club. It shares a refrigeration system with the Gardens, but it's not just the ice they have in common. There's a good business for the restaurant and bar when the Gardens are busy.
We're certainly hoping that the Gardens will remain open. We feel the structure is quite sound to make that happen, so our interest, of course, is continue to operate as a curling club.
Deciding what to do with the Gardens in the future is premature, say some, especially when no decision has been made on whether to move ahead with a new event center.
I've been a spectator here. I played hockey here and whatnot. It'd always be nice to have a new facility, don't get me wrong. We may have to keep this place for a little while longer, though, I think.
Others who spend hundreds of hours in the building each year already worry about where they'll play in the future, and they're frustrated with this process.
It's a show. They're asking questions, but I think a lot of decisions are already made by the looks of it. They've spent a lot of money to do this if they haven't. Why they would have it in the lobby of a Gardens, I do not know. We're all sitting here with jackets on, and you got noise from the rink. I could barely hear the guy where I was sitting. So.
But the consultants say nothing has been decided and contend these input sessions will weigh heavily in their recommendations to council. Whether the Gardens is used for farmers markets, other types of sports, or stays the way it is, the building still has a future.
I've heard estimates that says this building is indestructible given the amount of concrete that's in it. Realistically, it probably has 25, 30 years of good life left to it. You still have to invest in it to maintain it, but it still has a number of years left.
Dennis Ward, TBT News.
For the first time in 5 years, the city of Thunder Bay is planning to cut local snowbanks down to size on major streets. The work is planned for the weekend, but with more snow in the forecast, visibility could be at risk for a few more days. John Thompson has the story.
It was the winter of 2009 when city and private contractor crews last had to remove snowbanks to ensure motorists had enough visibility to safely turn onto arterial streets. After only 6 weeks of snowfall, the banks and safety concerns are mounting up. Brad Adams is the manager of the city's roads division. He says trucks are scheduled to begin removal on Sunday, but with snow expected over the weekend, it could be pushed into next week.
We've had a few complaints dealing with intersections where some high snowbanks are. We are starting to get a few calls within the core areas for snowbanks to be removed, and that's again affecting the traffic capacity of the road. So we have scheduled tentatively to go Sunday night to pick up snow. It all depends though on the weather.
The Thunder Bay Police Service has responded to dozens of accidents over the past week, and Traffic Sergeant Glenn Porter says visibility was a factor in some of those collisions. He cautions drivers to be extra careful of what lies around the corner in the days ahead.
Well, we do have a lot of snow, and Public Works has been trying very hard to get those roads cleared off, and as a result, the snow is piling up. I understand we're going to be getting more snow this weekend, so it's probably going to be even more of an issue next week. It's winter driving.
Snowbank removal will be restricted to arterial main streets, and there are no plans for relief in residential neighborhoods. At a cost of between $25,000 and $28,000 each night, cutting the banks will take a scoop out of the city's snow removal budget in the very first week of the year. John Thompson, TBT News.
Thunder Bay police are investigating a morning robbery at the Shoppers Drug Mart on Red River Road. Just before 9, a lone female entered the store's pharmacy armed with a knife and escaped with an undisclosed amount of the synthetic opioid fentanyl. She's described as being 5'1", thin-build, native Canadian, dressed all in black, with a Nevada t-shirt worn inside out over her clothing. She was last seen headed down Blucher Avenue. Thunder Bay Police Constable Julie Pilbury advises that fentanyl patches, when boiled and injected like heroin, can be deadly.
However, it does bring us a lot of concern, as we know that the misuse of fentanyl patches can lead to overdose and can be potentially fatal.
Anyone with information on this incident is being asked to contact Thunder Bay Police.
With 2013 now come and gone, the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation has released their year-end statistics for local home construction. The CMHC says there were 9 new single-family home starts in Thunder Bay during the month of December. That's down from 16 during the same month in 2012. But CMHC market analyst Warren Philp points out that 2012 was a boom year and 2013 wasn't too bad in comparison. The number of single detached homes dipped from 227 to 193 last year. And the number of multi-unit residences also fell from 151 down to 131. That means the total new homes dropped from 380 in 2012 down to 324. But compared to the 30-year average, Phillips says 2013 was not a bad year.
Housing starts are an indicator of economic health, and again, as I've mentioned, 2013 was not as strong as 2012. Still, it's in keeping with those longer-term averages.
Philip adds that local employment levels are trending 1.5% higher than 2012, according to Stats Canada, which bodes well for housing starts in 2014.
Severe weather events have caused insurance companies to raise premiums right across Canada. But the good news is there likely won't be much of an effect locally. The average homeowner pays close to $600 a year on home insurance. Many companies have announced increases this year of 5 to 15%. That comes following many severe weather incidents in recent years. Thunder Bay was affected by a flood in 2012 and a hailstorm in 2011. More recently, other parts of Canada have experienced severe weather like flooding and ice storms. David Baxter of Gillen's Insurance says we've experienced minor increases across our region because some places haven't been affected as badly as other parts of the country.
We've still had claims out there with fires and other major claims, but not the weather related. So we're seeing some minor increases over the last couple of years of 5-7%. Could they get a little higher? Possibly, but that's the insurance companies stabilizing themselves as individuals, what their effect on losses were in different regions of the country.
Baxter says a consumer's best option is to use a broker and shop around to see which company works best for them.
It's a $4 million investment that aims to help teachers in Ontario upgrade their mathematics skills. The Ontario government announced yesterday they will be reevaluating how math is taught inside of the classroom due to the province's poor test scores. As Courtney Rutherford reports, the additional money has local school boards welcoming the changes.
This announcement certainly confirms that we're heading in the right direction.
Chair of Lakehead District School Board Kathy Semenik says although she doesn't have any details on how the money will roll out, the additional funds will be put to good use. $4 million will go to help Ontario teachers upgrade their mathematics skills and make changes on the way the course is being taught.
Trustees and the Ministry of Education have both supported mathematics resource teachers and additional resources in professional development for staff. It's our intent to make an optimal learning environment for all students, and so any support that we can give our teachers and support staff in helping create that is welcome.
Recent test results from Ontario's Education and Accountability Office have shown that 1 in 5 grade 6 students do not meet the provincial math standard. The funding is designed to provide teachers with advanced qualifications in math, and those in the 2-year teachers program will now spend more time learning to teach the course. Joan Powell, Director of Education for the Catholic School Board, says she is thrilled to receive additional money that's specifically focused on kids.
Math is not necessarily a subject that everybody feels totally comfortable with, and I think teachers who might not have really loved math as kids might not feel really comfortable teaching it. And the math curriculum is very dense. There are 5 strands, so in other words, 5 different areas of math that teachers have to teach right from grade 1. So to provide them with additional training, I think is a great idea.
The head of Thunder Bay's Elementary Teachers Union, Ellen Chambers, says there's always room for more professional development and learning throughout a career. She says as a teacher, learning for them has got to be continual.
My expectation would be that if there's a new focus and they're determining that there should be new skills and a different way of doing things, that when the teachers do receive the training, it's during school time, and that does require extra funding. But so we'll see how far it goes.
Courtney Rutherford, TBT News.